One. What's going on, everybody? Got a very, very special show for you guys tonight. Miami Hurricanes After Dark. Man, Miami is going 7-1 into the season. Yet, it seems like we have a divided fan base on a lot of things. We're ranked 12th in the nation. We dropped back 3 spots. South Carolina just fired Will Muschamp. You got people shouting out, bring Will Muschamp to the U. Get rid of Mike Rump. Get in the cornerbacks coach from South Carolina. It is complete chaos. Ross, my co-host, is with me tonight. Brought a bunch of great guests to join the show. Ross, where do we even begin with all this chaos going on? I mean, what were your first thoughts about this game? We did win the football game, and I think that speaks a lot of value because we had 7 losses last year, and this year we have 7 wins. That is a complete 180.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is another one of those games, just like we talked about last week, where last year's team probably would have lost that game. I mean, we're barely skating by here, guys. History tells us that's not the greatest thing to do forever in football. It usually ends up and bites you in the ass eventually. But man, do our guys got heart? Do we got strong leadership at quarterback? I mean, there was a point in this game where we were down pretty big for a while. We were down 24-13 for a while in this game. I mean, last year's team didn't have that resiliency and didn't really have the talent, leadership, and coaching to make it happen for us to get a win. I'm awfully proud of these guys. I'm proud as hell of our guys, but I'm worried going forward, guys. I'm a little worried here. Max, dude, what'd you see with this, dude? What'd you see about this game that stood out to you?
I mean, it's the same thing, you know. Obviously, we've shown that we do have heart, like you said, and we are resilient. It's nice to have a fourth quarter team, but we need to improve in the first half of the game. You know, we played a terrible half, and we were only down by, I think it was 3 points at the half. You know, that's not terrible, but it could have been a lot worse. And I don't know. I agree with you that it's hard to kind of skate by because you lose one of those close games. Who knows how the team's going to react? And so you're kind of on some interesting areas that you could sink fast. I don't necessarily see that with this team with the leaders we've had. I think the most surprising leader that I've seen on this team this season is Gilbert Fryerson. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the fans thought he was transferring early in the season during like the preseason. You know, he had posted on Instagram that he was like up north and up north in Florida, and he wasn't even down in Miami at one point during training camp. And a lot of the fan base thought he was going to leave the program. He's kind of become like the leader of the defense, which to me is very interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out Fryerson, honestly, man. I mean, seeing him and Couch be able to affect the pass rush like we have has been awesome, man. I mean, I talked about it last week, how I thought Couch would be a guy that we'd start seeing deployed like that weekly, and it appears that might be something that we're leaning to. Man, our young guys are the ones that are picking up the pieces kind of right now, and it's just not what I was expecting this year, honestly. It just really wasn't.
Yeah, and that's a great point by Max that he brought up, because a lot of people, I don't know, there was if a lot of people really kind of forgot or realized, there were kind of some rumblings going on that Gilbert Fryerson, he wanted to transfer. Keontre Smith was making a push. People were worried he was going to enter the transfer portal. Look at him now, into the season, 2 sacks. I think he was leading the team in tackles or was second in total tackles. But, to have 2 sacks as a striker, as an underclassman, really does speak volume on his development, because his freshman year, he gave up a lot of big plays. But it's been a complete 180 for Gilbert Fryerson. So Corey Couch, another underclassman that is leading our secondary. Tremendous job. It's the underclassmen guys, or the new players stepping up, the Sam Brooks, the Jalen Phillips, the Corey Couches, the Gilbert Fryersons. It's not the 5-year veteran guys like back in the clouds that are really taking charge of this defense. It's the new personnel coming in. Alex, first thoughts on this game, man?
Well, we're 7-1. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't surprised. I thought we were gonna lose, but I thought we were gonna lose by one, but we won by one. So we're 7-1 today. But I'm not surprised. I expected a close game. We're just kind of skating by, like everybody's mentioning, and I'm not in the position where I could say, hey, fire Manny, like some people are still saying Manny's not the guy. Manny is the guy, in my opinion, because if he doesn't make the moves that he made last year, which is get the Eric King, get a kicker, and before last year we got a punter, and I don't see it without those three positions. I think we're probably a sub 500 team right now. So in that perspective, I think we're good. I'm just very disappointed in some particular players because I just think they could do better. One of them is DJ Scaife. I mean, we continue to have problems on the O-line, and it's not that I'm saying that he sucks or anything like that. All I'm saying is that he could play so much better, and I'm not seeing it. He's struggling consistently, and I'd like to see us add a little bit more depth going forward because this is the problem. Whether we have COVID issues or not, we're just not performing on our O-line. And if it wasn't for certain plays, our punter and our kicker, we don't win this game. So same thing moving forward.
Very good points. I think Lou Headley averaged 52.7 yards per punt. That is incredible. Special teams, complete 180. We probably have the best kicker in college football with Borregales. You shouldn't be faking field goal attempts. Okay, when you have a kicker making 58-yard field goals before the game in pregame. He's already proven to you he made against Louisville, what was it, like a 60-yarder? I'm not even kidding. It was 57 yards, I think. It's incredible. That's an NFL leg right there. He'll probably be on an NFL team this next season. Caleb, what are your thoughts on the game?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I've only watched it through highlights because I worked that day. But going over the film, man, I mean, look, I know a lot of people were complaining about the defense the week before, and honestly, I give the defense a lot of credit. I mean, they were missing some people, even though honestly, I feel like it was addition by subtraction by not having Zach McLeod out there. No offense, but. Honestly, I mean, look, considering we were missing 3 guards that could have played instead of Usman, I thought the offensive line didn't do great. But I'm going to be honest, man. I mean, there's only so much you can do when you have both your starting guards playing like dog shit. Like the lone Scaife, I mean, he's on a milk carton. we need to put an APB out for him because, honestly, I don't know where he's been all year because, I mean, 2 years ago, we were talking about this guy having so much potential. And honestly, in my personal opinion, I feel like he's regressed each year. And he's not the only player that's happened to. We have quite a few players where when they came in as a freshman or by their sophomore season, they were playing at a decent level. And now they're just in the tank. Zach McLeod is one of them as well. He had a great freshman year and then he's been, worse, every year basically. But honestly, I'm not really going to complain too much. I know there's a lot of fans out there. Oh, we could be playing better. We should be blowing teams out. Look, man, we were 6-7 last year, and we're 7-1 right now. I know a lot of people aren't happy about us going down in the ranking, even though we won. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, ranking's not going to matter too much because if you take care of business these next 3 games, you could possibly make it to the ACC title, if we'll see how things shake out with Notre Dame and Clemson. But even if we don't, we're probably going to make a New Year's Six Bowl. And I guarantee you, every Cane fan would have signed up for that before the year started. If, you told them, hey, you're going to go 10-1 and your only loss is going to be to Clemson. Doesn't matter how the wins look. As long as you win, at the end of the day, that's what really matters. So, I'm pretty satisfied.
Great point. Miami is projected right now to play for Florida in the Orange Bowl. Another great point about the rankings, we were missing 13 players, only played 5 offensive linemen that were available. Navon Donaldson was supposed to sit out, yet we dropped 3 spots going through all these COVID difficulties. We almost even canceled the game, and we went through it, and we weren't even favorite to win the game. We were the underdogs, yet we get dropped 3 points for winning on the road. Hey, I don't get it. It is what it is, but Caleb's right. Let's just win out. Don't worry about the rankings and get your premier SEC opponent, whether it's Florida, whether it's Georgia or Texas A&M in the Orange Bowl. Guys, hot subject, defense. It's been very inconsistent throughout the whole season. A lot of people have been very critical of Blake Baker. Past 2 weeks, fourth quarter defense has been amazing. Amazing. Only gave up 60 yards of total offense against Virginia Tech in the fourth quarter, 0 points allowed. What do you guys think is going on? Is Manny Diaz taking over the defense, or is this just a conspiracy theory? Second week in a row, guys. Bob, what do you think?
Man, I think it's odd to me, honestly. It's really odd to me. There's this part of me that's, we see this defense, we see them locked down, we see what they can do. I understand the idea of not trying to go too hard too early and wearing down your own defense. I get that. But to just not trying much at all, or even dialing up a whole lot of things to get pressure early, it worries me. I mean, go back to the original point I made. This is this whole skating by scenario where we're just kind of okay winning like this. And I'm not convinced that this is a great way for us to go about the rest of the season, guys. I mean, I don't think we're going to get the respect we'll truly deserve in the rankings until we actually start playing like a team that's a top 10 team, honestly. Beating Virginia Tech by 1 and having to scrap out to do it, that wasn't going to move us up. I'm not quite sure, honestly. This defense has got me a little confused, guys. We've got talent on that defense, and we're just not showing it early enough, I guess. That's pretty much my main beef.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there is a talent issue. I don't think we have as great talent as we think we do. We definitely have talent in certain areas, but there are a lot of positions that we do lack the talent, or at least the experience with some of the more talented guys. For me, I don't know who is calling the plays. Is it Manny calling it the whole time, and he just, or is it Blake Baker, and then Manny chimes in the fourth quarter? I don't really know the answer to that, so it's hard to say. Personally, I'm back and forth with the whole fire Blake Baker thing. My whole opinion with it is, one, I want to reflect on it more after the season so I can kind of digest the whole season together, and at the same time, give him the rest of the season to I guess prove his worth, right? Nobody's safe here. It's been very apparent Enos wasn't safe, even though he was only here for a year. If it needs to be done, it's going to get done, it seems. Now, if there's an obvious pick that's guaranteed that's going to happen, like say some defensive coordinator that is top notch wants to come to Miami, and he's a proven defensive coordinator, and we know we're going to get results with him, then yeah, that's fine. But if there's a guy that we're kind of unsure about, it's not going to be a home run signing, then that's where I'm kind of on the fence with. And I don't know if Muschamp is that guy. I mean, you look at how their defense played this year at South Carolina, terrible. And who knows if it was a talent issue or if it was a coaching issue. But I do like the idea of getting in their cornerbacks coach. From what I know with Rumpin recruiting, I know he's not the primary recruiter for the cornerbacks, but in my opinion, what cornerback is going to want to go to a school when their cornerback coach isn't the one recruiting you? I mean, you got to have a relationship with your position coach. And if he's not the one recruiting you, you don't have a great relationship with them. And that to me is a problem. If the kids are different than I and they don't care about that shit, then that's on them, and that's fine. Then maybe it can work out. But in my opinion, if I were going to a school and I was a corner, I would want to have a great relationship with my position coach. And if he's not the one recruiting me, I probably don't have that relationship. So I do look at that position, and maybe we can make a splash during the offseason at that position. And time will tell on Baker, I guess.
Alex, what do you think?
Well, look, do you want good news or bad news?
Whatever you feel like.
I mean, pick your poison, man, because I'm going to tell you right now, we're 7-1, regardless of what anything anybody says. That's the end result. So if the end result of this season is 10-1, Blake Baker's not going anywhere. I am sorry to break that news to you guys, but it's the obvious truth. Now, good news is you might get a change and a position coach, as maybe Rumpf or maybe some other guys here and there, whether they get promoted or demoted or whatever happens. You might get that. So you might get your wish of Rumpf being gone. Am I going to defend Rumpf? I said very clearly at the beginning of the year, I'm going to wait until the season is over to evaluate as a whole Mike Rumpf. But overall, as a team, what I see is it's a common factor, and this is not a good thing for a team that's supposed to be a top 10 team. Too many undisciplined penalties, bonehead, stupid things that go on, and I see it, and it's like, I don't know if it's the emotions get the best of these young men or what it is, but I'm tired of the halftime speeches. Why do you need a halftime speech to play like that in the fourth quarter? Since that's what we're talking about. Why do you need that? Why do you need to be so successful in the fourth quarter? What are we doing? Are we stealing signs? Are we, is Manny calling the plays? That's up for discussion, and that's up for everybody's perspective of whatever you believe. I honestly just think that we are playing aggressive in the fourth quarter, and we're not committing that many mistakes in the fourth quarter. We're more settled in. But I just wish we could start like that from the very beginning, because if we started out disciplined and we weren't so, emotionally attached to the game and playing down to the opponent's level, I do think, and I do see Miami being a top 10 team. We just need to make that leap. You understand? And I mean, that's just my general thoughts from right now. I don't want to go on. I want to let everybody else talk, but that's my point. Discipline issues, and Blake Baker's going to be here if this success continues.
Caleb, do you have a difference of opinion with what you've heard so far, or are you on the same page with everyone?
Honestly, I'm a bit on the fence when it comes to that, because I do agree. I feel like, we shouldn't have to always wait until the last quarter to really turn things up. And it seemed like, it seems like, when we're in the worst position, that's when we, want to step up and actually, give it our all. I feel like, maybe, the coaches, aren't aggressive enough when they have to be. I mean, I know a lot of people have been complaining that Manny doesn't show the same type of emotion that he used to show when he was defensive coordinator. And I totally agree with that. I mean, I feel like, he's a lot more stoic compared to how he used to be. But I mean, look, man, at the end of the day, what Alex said is correct. If we finish 10-1, I'd be surprised if, Baker is gone. I definitely agree that I think Rumpf should be gone, but that's something that I felt even before the season. And honestly, what I've seen this year hasn't changed, my opinion on that. I honestly just feel like, this is the problem that happens when you hire a lot of people that you're cool with. Manny is cool with Baker, he's cool with Banda. A lot of the people on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, I guess he considers his friends. And I personally don't think that works out that much. But, I mean, look, at the end of the day, as long as we keep winning, I'll be happy. But I definitely agree. There's something missing from the defense. Even, last year's defense, sometimes didn't, wasn't Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde like how our defense is. one half will play like shit, the other half will play amazing. It's too inconsistent, especially, for us to be a top 10 team. That's why people don't take us serious, because they're like, look, you guys, you play hard when you want to. And honestly, at Miami, that should never be a problem, in my opinion.
By the way, guys, the name a lot of people have been talking about in the fan base, Trivarus Robinson. He was the defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach under Will Muschamp in South Carolina. Went to high school at Coral Park Senior High School. He's a native from Miami, 4-year letterman at Auburn University. Hey, in my opinion, guys, I don't think we're going to see any changes defensively at all. Manny Diaz just did a 180 with this staff, and he made the changes this year, with a new offense, with a new offensive coordinator, new wide receivers coach, new offensive lineman, new offense personnel in general. I don't think we're going to see any changes. Plus, on top of that, Ed Reed, I don't know how much influence he has in this program. I know he was named chief of staff. But Mike Rump, I'm pretty sure he has a very good relationship with Ed Reed. He's like, hey, if Manny Diaz does want to let go of one person, it's not going to be anyone from his coaching tree. It's going to be Mike Rump, someone who he's never really associated with before in the past stints he's had in other programs. I don't think Ed Reed lets that happen. I think Ed Reed tells him, hey, if you're going to get rid of Rump, then you're going to get rid of this list of people. Blake Baker, Coach Packey, maybe even Todd Stroud. I don't know. That's my opinion. Does anyone see anything different with that happening? Does anyone believe Manny Diaz will make adjustments? Because, this is not a Miami defense. This is not a Manny Diaz defense, in my opinion. We're playing too much zone coverage, and we should be playing strictly man.
I personally think that he's a little limited when it comes to, playing more zone compared to man, because honestly, we have one competent corner. The other two corners, Ivy's decent. Blades is garbage, man. Like, I can't believe how bad he's been this year, because honestly, last year he wasn't half bad. I didn't think Pro Football Focus had him as like the number 2 or number 3 corner. He wasn't like that good, but he wasn't as bad as how he's been this year. Like, the guy, I guess he forgot how to cover or something. But look, when you have corners that you don't trust to play man to man, it's a little difficult, to do that. I'm not saying, in a perfect world, I would prefer us to play more, man coverage, but, it's a little difficult to do. And I feel like, that's the reason why we're playing a lot more zone compared to how we've done in the past. But I absolutely agree with you, man. I really didn't think about it like that, but you make a really good point. Ed Reed and Mike Rumpf, they were on the same team. They won a national title together. So there is definitely, Ed Reed's going to look out for him. But at the same time, dude, Ed Reed is a Hall of Famer, and he's going to keep it real. And even he, it doesn't matter if that's his friend. He has to notice, like, look, the product on the field isn't cutting it. And recruiting-wise, it's not cutting it either. So what are you paying this guy for? But, that's just my opinion.
Listen, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead. Manny Diaz, every year at the end, this is why I trust him. At the end of the year, he's going to evaluate everything. He's going to see the glaring weakness on the team, and he's going to make the changes. So if the glaring weakness is recruiting cornerbacks, or our corner play isn't up to where he thinks it should be, or he doesn't see progress, that is going to be taken care of. I trust Manny in that perspective. He's made the necessary changes every single year that he can to improve this team. So I have the confidence to say right now that if we don't recruit a corner, okay, and our corner play isn't up to par, which I don't think we're that bad at corner play as people perceive it to be. I think it's more of missed tackles, being out of position. I've seen Bubba Bolden. As great as Bubba Bolden is, but we have to hold him in check sometimes because he's been out of position. He had one of the worst games that I've seen him had this particular game. And when you have players missing tackles, when you play those zones and you allow those blanket coverages, it allows you to stay in the game. So what happens if we do play man-to-man coverage more? More guys with blown assignments. You don't know what could happen. So this is why I say, what Blake Baker's doing right now, it's working because we're winning. So why go away from it? So whatever is going to happen, I trust Manny Diaz at the end of the year to make the necessary changes. All I say is, a lot of people talk about Will Muschamp. A lot of people are talking about all these other coaches, but why are you going to hit the reset button when we are improving? Maybe we're regressing a little bit on defense, and I see it, but we don't have the right guys at linebacker. That's why the glaring need is linebacker. What happened with Lewis? I haven't heard anything. Did we flip him? There's a lot of things going on, and at the end of the year, I just think it's going to be solved.
Max, I know you want to talk. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. I think Ed Reed isn't here to make friends. I think Ed Reed is truly here to make a difference in this program. And he's played at such a high level in every aspect, high school, college, and the pros. I don't think he's here to make friends. And if Rump needs to go, he's going to co-sign it. I don't think that's an issue. And again, we don't know how much impact he does have on the team, right? Is he there to be more of a player's mentor to some of these guys, making sure their head's right? Teaching him some stuff, or is he there to make those types of decisions? We don't really know. From what we've seen, it seems like he's taking on more of the player mentorship role. He's in on the Zoom calls with the guys. He's talking to people on the sidelines. He's doing that kind of stuff. So who really knows what his main job is? But I agree that Manny's made the hard decisions. They may look easy to us, but it's never hard to fire someone at this level. He's made those decisions every single year, and I think if there is glaring needs, he's going to do it. I mean, he's done it with every position. Okay, we had an issue at quarterback, he addressed it. Like you said, Paul, we had an issue with kicking and punting, he addressed it. We had issues with O-line. He brought Jared Williams in the transfer portal. Okay, maybe he thought of Phillips not necessarily being ready right away. He brought in Roche. So he's made a lot of these, and again, he brought in Bubba Bolden, right? So he's made a lot of these decisions to fix some of the holes that we've had. And I don't see him kind of struggling with that if it's needed. And another thing on the Al Blades front, he's been like our best and our worst corner. I think he leads the team in interceptions and pass breakups, but he leads the team in catches allowed. It's like he can be good because he's shown he can, but he's just not consistent. And in my opinion, I don't know if he's fast enough to play corner. Maybe he's better suited as a safety and potentially at the next level. I don't know. I don't know what his 40 time is. I don't know how fast his 3-cone is and all those other drills, but it looks like he's just a little slow to me.
I honestly, I'm sorry to butt in again, but I just don't see it. I mean, the guy's going to give up some catches. It depends. Is he playing zone? Is he playing man? But every time I see him play, yeah, he's a little inconsistent, but he's going to have players making catches. But I think he's a very solid corner. Is he a first, second round corner? No, he's not. Is he a third rounder? Is he an NFL guy? I don't know yet. But I'll tell you this. I think that he's one of the more solid guys that we have on that defense in corner, along with Fryerson and Couch. DJ Ivy, on the other hand, I've seen a lot more inconsistency from him. But you got to remember, Al Blade's job is always to cover the other team's best receiver. And so far, I mean, has he given up any games where he's given up 150 yards receiving?
Well, I mean, he felt like that against NC State. He was getting his shit cooked.
All right, that's one game. So he Bubba Bolden had an off game. There's always going to be this one game where they're going to get the better of you. I see more of an offense being the issue right now, against certain teams because of our O-line struggles. We're stuck so much on defense that we are not talking about the main problem that was against Virginia Tech, and it was our offense.
Right.
Our defense kept us in the game for the most part.
That's true.
Okay. So we're overlooking the fact that we're struggling on offense. We had to fake a field goal to get some momentum going. That didn't even go our way. So the main focus and the main problem that we're having right now is the O-line. Are we improving? Do you guys see any improvement in that O-line?
I mean, dude, Zion Nelson hasn't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong, but I don't think he's given up a sack all year. I mean, he's been really good, man. I mean, from last year compared to this year, he's made huge progress. I mean, because last year he looked abysmal. And, I mean, he looks really good this year. Honestly, our tackles, I'm not worried about our tackles. Zion's been really good. Jared Williams has been, a little bit up and down. But, I mean, that's understandable coming from, what conference he was in compared to what he is in now.
He's been a little banged up. The staff hasn't talked about it, but he's been a little bit banged up this year, too.
Yeah, that's true as well. I just think our guards are really holding us back, man. DJ Scaife has regressed big time. Clark is garbage, and he's a little crybaby bitching on Twitter and shit, saying, "Oh, why am I, crying and shit?" And then they put him in actually to play, and he looks like shit. So maybe he should, not worry about Twitter so much. Actually, worry about getting better at his craft. That's just one thing I gotta say.
That's fine. I mean, you feel that way. I don't feel that certain way about players sucking or whatever. You say what you want to say. I just think that in order for these players to get better, they shouldn't complain. They should just work harder every day. And I think they're starting to make that turn. But the main issue I see is, like you said, is in the guard positions. There's not there's so many guys that have been moved around that we don't have that, that position solidified. And yeah, sure, we're doing good in pass blocking, but talk to me about run blocking, because the last time that I checked Pro Football Focus, which I check it very recently, and I, evaluate film and everything, you guys should know that by now. We're not the greatest at run blocking. I think the most consistent guy we have there is Jared Williams.
Yeah, that's true. And, it's crazy. You would think it would be the opposite, because Justice at his last two coaching stops, he really improved the run blocking, and it took a little while for the pass blocking to get together. So it's like the complete opposite for us.
Yeah, it took him about a year to really make a big difference in his previous stops. My buddy actually played under him at Arizona, and yeah, Scaife for me, I think he was our best lineman last year, arguably. And he has just been, atrocious. Ja'Kai again. Ja'Kai, you didn't hear his name at all last year. And if you're an O-lineman and you don't hear a guy's name, it's a good thing. It means he's doing his job. He's kind of been, rocky. And it's hard to say what kind of attributes to it. Obviously, you lose out on being able to work out in the weight room at school because of the whole COVID thing, and you're missing reps with your guys. And Ja'Kai wasn't starting at the beginning of the season, and now he is. And and then you put Traore back there. You think Ja'Kai has been playing bad, and Traore looks 10 times worse. So I think it's too much to make a shakeup at both guard positions. I think you put in Navon the second he's healthy at 1 or 2. I don't know which one. And then if things start to improve, then there you go. But I looked at putting our freshman Rivers in there at some point. Maybe it's not this year. Maybe it's next year. But I think the first step is putting Navon in when he's healthy and kind of seeing how that helps the O-line.
One thing I want to hit on here, guys, is that, and Alex had talked about this earlier, about how, the defense did, kind of hold up for us when we really needed them to in this last game. My issue with it is that when we get down 24-13 early in a game, our offensive plan gets thrown out the window. Things change. We have to adapt. It's not an ideal situation. Teams kind of sit back on defense a little more and know what to expect in some ways, especially when we're not running the ball well, which is something else, let's get Chaney involved a little more, But I feel like the defense when we get behind like that early, we're just always going to be scrambling to pick back up. And that's not a way that we're ever going to beat teams by double-digit points and stuff like that. And I think that, that OL, whatever the issues are and stuff, that's where I'd like to see our defense not be so timid early. I mean, I see our real University of Miami Hurricanes defense for 1 to 2 quarters a game tops. That's it. We don't play our best football when we play timid. When we're on our heels, we don't play Miami Hurricanes football, period. And it's getting to a point where I'm starting to wonder, is this even appealing to recruits? Is this something you want to watch as a recruit? Do you want to sit back and go, wow, these guys aren't attacking anymore. They're waiting till the very end and they're expecting us to save their ass because they're not doing their freaking jobs. Stuff like this, guys. I mean, getting down early. This is the stuff that's going to keep killing us, guys. And the penalties. Screw the ACC refs. This stuff's getting out of hand with that shit too.
Before I want to answer Ross's question first. Before I get into that, guys, everyone listening, everyone part of the stream, please go to stickersbyab.com. Put in your 15% discount code on all orders. Scoop in all caps. I know Alex just told me he bought literally like 50 stickers worth. The kid's going crazy about it. So go to stickersbyab.com, man. Go check it out, man. They do killer sticker designs for the Miami Heat, the Miami Dolphins, and the Miami Hurricanes, guys. Go check them out. Ross, to answer your question, honestly, for me, man, it's winning a bowl game. The last time we won a bowl game, I believe, was 2016 Russell Athletic Bowl against West Virginia. These close, ugly games, that's kind of Miami's identity when we do well. 2017 was, to a certain extent, a successful season. A lot of ugly games. A lot of miracles, comeback, cardiac cane moments. We're seeing that a lot this year. But can we win that marquee bowl game, that New Year's Six bowl game, that BCS bowl game? Can we win that bowl game? That's what's going to impress recruits. That's what's going to tell them Miami has changed. Winning close games during the regular season, I think that's fine. They're winning. They're being ranked in the top 10, top 15. They're relevant. But when you win that bowl game against a premier marquee opponent, such as a Florida, Georgia, Texas A&M, a very good Big Ten opponent, that's when recruits start opening their eyes saying, hey, Miami has turned the corner. So I think it's winning that bowl game, winning the ACC title game, which we probably won't be a part of, nor are we ready for Clemson or Notre Dame. By all means, we got a lot of homework to do, and giving up 70 yards of penalties each game, that is going to set us up for failure. Like we saw against Clemson, giving up 130 yards of penalties. Complete just disarray there. So to answer your question, that is my opinion on that.
That's awesome, Paul. And I completely agree with you. I'm just going to spit for 30 seconds real quick. Listen, the bowl game is very important. And I agree with you because teams have so much time to prepare for a bowl game. Usually other teams just have 1 week to prepare against you and sometimes even less because they have to condense it and they have to travel and all that stuff. So, yeah, I agree with you. Can we show up to a bowl game, win a marquee bowl game, and show every single recruit out there that we've turned that page? That's when we're going to start seeing these recruits signing on signing day, and we're going to start flipping guys at the end. Maybe we get that Justin Flo on signing day that we've always wanted. We're going to start seeing those guys more often.
Who's by the way?
What was that? Broke up.
Oh, I said Justin Flo's barely playing so far, by the way.
Of course, he's not even getting playing time.
Yep. He would have starting day one for us.
Yep. No, he would have been. Like guys like Justin Flo, for example, we're seeing a lot of players Miami were recruiting. They go to these big time programs, Oregon, Alabama, that are winning year in and year out, and they're not playing, and they end up in the transfer portal. Do you guys believe in that second chance opportunity? Miami should give these guys a second chance, or hey,
if
you lost
it's
your chance.
if it's a need, it's a need. I don't care if we need a linebacker and a good linebacker comes into the portal, then yeah, that's what Manny said is he's going to use that as an as need basis. If we need somebody a certain position, if we need another De'Aaron King, let's go out and get one in the transfer portal. Do I think that we can consistently do that? Maybe not. But if Flo does hop in the portal, you can bet your ass Manny Diaz is going to give him a call. And so,
I mean, the transfer portal should be something for, in my opinion, if anybody has a different opinion, feel free to jump in. In my opinion, the transfer portal should be for proven guys that have already proven they could play, like let's say Houston or some smaller school in a smaller conference, and they're ready to take that next step in a Power 5, conference, and they're trying to get to that next step, or they haven't had, success at UCLA or something like that. That's what I see. I wouldn't go after Justin Flo if he's not starting, because that typically translates into the same thing. Maybe Justin Flo was overrated for some reason. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying hypothetically, let's say that he comes over here and he can't start over Jennings. Then what good does that do for us? We should look at the portal as proven guys. We need a proven corner. We need a proven linebacker. Bring them on so they can improve the team.
My opinion on that is, look, if Justin Flo enters the portal, I'm pretty sure Manny gonna have him on speed dial. He gonna hit his line real quick. But I mean, I do agree with you though, Alex. I think that, preferably you would want to pick someone who's actually done something at the college level. But I'm gonna be honest, beggars can't be choosers, and I mean, we're looking real rough at linebacker. So sometimes you just got to take what you can get. But honestly, in a perfect world, you wouldn't have to take transfers. You would, be able to develop, people on your own. But honestly, that's where, recruiting has come back to bite us in the ass. Because you know what? Manny has been in charge of the linebacker recruiting the past few years. And quite frankly, he's done a shit job. Because most of these guys, haven't done much. His guys, because look, I don't count Shaq, Zach, or, Pick, because those guys were coming even, regardless of if Diaz was here or not. So the people he's recruited, they haven't done anything, and, who knows, maybe, I think Austin Cave is going to be a good one, next year. But in my opinion, man, we're going to have to do something, because I mean, going into next year, you're going to have Sam Brooks and, probably Corey Flagg as your starters. I mean, I think Sam's good, but he's been inconsistent this year. And I mean, look, Corey Flagg has great instincts, but dude, he's 5'11", and
I disagree on that. I disagree a portion of it. I just disagree that Sam Brooks is inconsistent. I mean, I've seen progress every single game. I've seen that he's done something to improve or gotten better at something. So that's the part that I disagree at.
I think he's going to be good, but I mean, he gets swallowed up on a few plays every game. And I mean, maybe that's just because, he's just getting used to it. Because remember, he was a pass rusher at Miami Northwestern, and he really didn't play linebacker a lot. So, he could just be getting into his groove. And I think he's going to be really good for us. But he needs to tighten up on some things. And I just think that, we got to get a guy like Terrence Lewis. I know it's been debated about, in the Kane community, whether we should take someone like that. I'm of the mindset that, look, if this kid has, really turned a new leaf, I mean, look, people make, really, really bad mistakes. And he made a really, really bad mistake. But at the end of the day, he's still a kid, so that, what one thing that you did in your life doesn't define you as a person, and it doesn't define you for the rest of your life. So, I personally hope that we end up getting him. But if we don't, we don't.
Yeah, I'm just worried, Ben. Go ahead.
I would go to the using the transfer portal for proven players. I think, of course, that's the want, right? But also it can be used for guys that we didn't necessarily get that are still young that have more than just 1 year to be in the program, right? And you have two of our best players on defense. Both weren't necessarily proven at their previous stops with Bolden and Phillips. Phillips was hurt his entire career at UCLA, and Bubba Bolden got kicked off USC's team. So those are two guys that aren't necessarily proven commodities who have been arguably our best two defenders. So, there is a use for guys that were at one place and it didn't work out. Now, again, I would prefer that it would be a veteran that can make an instant impact that we don't have to, necessarily groom. But if we miss out on a Terrence Lewis and a 5-star linebacker comes in the portal that's maybe only a freshman or a sophomore that has a year or two that he can be in the program, then I don't see an issue with going after him. And also, Flo's not starting, but the guy who is starting is another 5-star linebacker in the same class in Noah Sewell, who has ties to that program with the left tackle being the best offensive lineman in college football. So, it's not like he's not playing because he's not good. I mean, it could be that, right? We don't know, but he is behind another 5-star freshman.
And the way
those are great points.
I was gonna say, the way I see the transfer portal right now, guys, is, and I don't like to look at it this way, but we need the transfer portal right now. If you looked at how we've recruited the last couple of years and how we're continuing to recruit, when you don't get the right amount of guys, and like a year like this, when you're only looking at possibly one cornerback and stuff like that, no quarterback, those kind of things, that's where the transfer portal actually starts to become a necessity, because you don't have the depth if you're not recruiting properly. And in my opinion, we're simply not recruiting properly at certain positions. It's a necessary evil, or whatever you want to look at it, but it's tough to go, okay, we're going to find another De'Aaron King and stuff like that. Those guys aren't always going to be available in the portal. I don't like to have to rely on it, but until we start recruiting properly and building depth through the recruiting system, we got to keep going back to it, guys.
Yep, 100%, 100%. I mean, honestly, we better pray that De'Aaron, comes back, because honestly, who knows what we have in Van Dyke. I mean, I know a lot of people are excited about him, and I think he has great potential. But I'm kind of tired of us starting, redshirt freshmen. That's just my opinion. It hasn't really worked out, the past couple of times with Jaron and with Kosi. So I really would prefer to have a proven guy for next year. But, we'll have to see. Honestly, I'm really just concentrating on finishing the year strong and, hopefully getting a rematch with Florida and seeing Orange Bowl.
Something you just said strikes me, and it worries me a lot. And you said finish the year strong. And I don't know if you guys have looked at the schedule, but we've got how many remaining games? 3, I believe, or 4? 3, right?
3.
Right. We got Georgia Tech, we got Wake Forest, and UNC. Georgia Tech has had our number for them, for I don't know how many years. They always play us close, or they upset us. They always give us a game. Okay. And then we have UNC and Wake Forest that just had a shootout. And those are the games that make me nervous. Any games that were in a shootout, So, Wake Forest is an away game. I'm going to that game with Paul. And then UNC is at home. And UNC has a great quarterback. So I'm really, 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 I'm not going to pick against Miami. I don't want another ice water bath. Thing was terrible. But I'm just saying, these games, we have to come in being disciplined, and it cannot be a nail biter, because one of these are going to come to bite us in the butt. I'm telling you, sooner or later, it's going to come back to bite us in the butt. And the last thing I want is we're set up to an ACC championship, or we're set up for the second place in the ACC or whatever, and then we drop it because we don't take care of business on our end.
Maybe it's just me, but I'm feeling pretty good going into these last 3 games. I don't think very highly of Georgia Tech, even though you are right. I think we've lost to them the past 2 years. Pretty sure we have. So there's that. Wake Forest should be interesting. UNC as well. But honestly, I feel like we've played the best offensive lines and the best defensive lines we're going to play the rest of the year. And I feel like, look, we're at a point where, I think the team is going to notice, the moment. And this is a big moment, for us. If we can, win these last 3 games, doesn't matter how. If we can win these last 3 games, we're going to finish in a New Year's Six Bowl, and we're going to have a chance to play a pretty good, opponent. And if you win that game and finish 11-1, that's outstanding. That's probably one of the best years we've had since like 2003, 2004. So I feel like the team, maybe it's just wishful thinking on my part, but honestly, I'm not worried about the next 3 games. I feel like, Wake Forest, they got decent talent, but, I've seen them in a few games this year. I'm not really impressed. UNC has a great offense, but I think we got something, saved up for Sam Howell, the Chipmunk, after what happened last year. So honestly, I'm predicting us to win the next 3, and I think that at least 2 of them we're going to be winning going away. Probably be one close game, but that's definitely not going to be this week because we're going to pound the shit out of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I agree with you a little bit, Alex. Wake Forest is one of the best offenses in the country right now. Their quarterback was on that QB1 show that had Jake Fromm, that had Tate Martell. So I saw him in high school a lot. But they definitely do have a high-powered offense, and North Carolina does too. I could see both of those games being shootouts. I agree. And those games do worry me. But to be honest, I'm worried every game. It doesn't matter if we're playing fucking Florida A&M, the deaf and the blind. It doesn't matter. I'm nervous before every game. It has nothing to do with the talent on the team, the coaching on the team. It just happens to do with the fact that I'm a huge Miami fan, and every game makes me nervous. The whole game, I'm freaking out on the couch with my dad, who went to Miami when they were at their heyday. I just get nervous every game. It doesn't matter who, when, where, and what it is. I'm nervous. So you never know.
I think we can beat these next 2 teams playing the way we played, but I don't think we want to go into UNC playing how we've been playing, honestly. That to me would be kind of something that could really catch us, especially if we do this playing on our heels on defense and not being aggressive early in the game and UNC decides to just go off on us and they just turn it up. I don't want to have to come back by 20 plus points in them in a quarter and a half or something like that after halftime. Pretty sure we can handle these next 2 guys, but that UNC game, they're going to be playing for something as in regards to a special bowl themselves. They're going to want to come out and put a stamp on that game as well. And that's the game to me that we still got to come out. I think I'd like to see us play our style of defense for a little more than 1 quarter against UNC. I'd like to see us show up a little earlier.
Yeah.
Guys,
go ahead.
UNC, I'm sorry, Paul. UNC has the number 4 offense in the country. Throw out the record, throw out how bad their defenses are. Just put their offense against our defense, okay? And I mean, I'm confident about on our defense, but this presents a matchup problem. I think we're lucky to have them at home, but you can't say this doesn't worry you a little bit with Sam Howell being the quarterback, Daz Newsome, and they have pretty good running backs and pretty good skill players. So with that, I'm just gonna say, they also have a tight end. We struggled all year with tight end.
Yeah, UNC, that is a team, defensively they're not good. I just don't think our offense can keep up with their offense. They're going to put up points. I'm very curious how they're going to play against Notre Dame, if they're going to be that effective offensively. But by all means, I mean, they have a damn good offense. In my opinion, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football in Sam Howell. He's an underclassman, hell of a player. I mean, he almost picked Miami, actually. He was committed to Florida State, then decommitted. It was between UNC, Miami, and Florida State. That kid's going to be an NFL player. They have a wide receiver by the name of Bo Corrales. He's a complete mismatch for just about any cornerback in the ACC. He's going to be a mismatch against us. Like, Alex said, Daz Newsome. I mean, that's your playmaker right there. They just have a great offense. I mean, Philip Longo, he's the same OC under Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss. The rest is history, So, that's going to be trouble. Wake Forest, that's another game where if we have a performance like we did against Virginia Tech, we go in sleeping. If it's a noon game or, they just come out flat, watch out. Wake Forest may pull off an upset. But I'll tell you what, guys, if we're in a dogfight with Georgia Tech next week and it's a close game, we win by 7 or 3, we're just not a good football team because Georgia Tech is awful. That's one of the worst teams in the ACC. Definitely the worst team in the ACC Coastal. So that's the way I see it. We're just a bad football team if we're in a dogfight with Georgia Tech. So that's the way I see our next 3 games. But I'm telling you, that North Carolina game, I think we will lose that game because I don't see it, man. Their offense is just too powerful.
Are you putting an ice water bath in that?
No. I'm never gonna agree to an ice bath like you did. You got balls for doing that, Alex. I give you a ton of credit. I'm not into that. It's to the tension of putting that pressure on me and stuff like that. I call it like I see it. And if Miami beats UNC, tip my hat off to Manny Diaz. He's done a hell of a job this season. Hell of a job. So that's the way I see it, man.
I mean, you made a good point, man. That Georgia Tech game shouldn't be. I mean, if we don't blow them out by at least 21 plus, we got some major problems, big problems. But I mean, I'm
What's
expecting.
the spread?
I think it
came out
plus 19 or 20.
Oh,
Miami?
plus 20. Okay, wow. I mean, that's a big spread.
I think that's what it came out today. I mean, look, even though we ain't been playing great, we're still 7-1 and they're pretty bad. So I'm not surprised that they put it. Honestly, if you had to ask me right now, I might take Georgia Tech with the points because we've been on that bullshit lately. But I mean, Paul, you said it how it is, man. If we're in a 1-score game with these guys, I mean. Let me tell you, I agree with you. We're not going to beat UNC if we're in a 1-score game with Georgia Tech. I mean, it's just plain and simple. And I feel like at the end of the day, like, look, these players got to be motivated. I know sometimes, people question the coaching and, that makes a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, as a player, you got to want to be great. Right. And if, you're nonchalant and you're going through the motions and it takes, like, what y'all said earlier about, some rah-rah speech at halftime, that's not necessary, man. Like, this is big boy football. Like, I give Gilbert a lot of credit because I know a lot of people gave him shit for how he's been playing, last year and his freshman year. And he's definitely stepped up big time this year. But it shouldn't have to take something like that to happen for you to want to step up your level of play.
Right. Yeah. The old Miami teams, it was punch you in the mouth from the very beginning and you were out of the game. There was nothing you could do. And we would run up the score on you. And tips for Manny Diaz and everybody. If it comes to a 3-way tie, somehow Notre Dame loses 2 games, Clemson loses, Clemson doesn't lose. It's a 3-way tie. They're going to go to style points all these percentages. Obviously there's a tiebreaker between Clemson and us. Clemson would win that. But at the same time, style points matter. Just run up the score against Georgia Tech, so we can get the respect. Screw it. Don't have no respect for them.
You guys, that 20-point spread speaks volumes to me because of the lack of disrespect we have gotten from Vegas and from the rankings and stuff. I mean, we lose games, we go backwards. But they're saying we can win this by 20 points. We need to win this fucking game by 20 points then, guys. Seriously. Vegas and them are going to say that we have a chance to do it. We need to freaking do it.
All right, guys, let's wrap up this show with some score predictions. Alex, what is your prediction, Miami, Georgia Tech?
41 Miami, Georgia Tech 22.
Okay. Caleb?
I'm going to roll with 37-13.
Max?
41-20.
Wow. Ross?
38-17 for me.
Okay, wow. All right, big scores. Hey, I got Miami winning 31-20. 14 or 31-17. I think Miami's going to be in cruise control the whole game, and similar to that UAB game where, they win by a couple touchdowns and, they've had to lead the whole game. May be in a dogfight third quarter, then Miami separates. But, this offense, you never know what you're going to get. Like we saw against Virginia Tech, keys are developing the run game, and I think our run game will open up against Georgia Tech. I hope I'm right. But thank you guys so much for coming on the show. It really was a pleasure to have all these great discussions, and I hope everyone watching, everyone a part of the stream, checks out stickersbyab.com, uses the discount code SCOOP in all caps. Go get your stickers, man. They are off the charts. Have a great night, everyone. Peace.
Thanks
Yes,
for
sir.
having me.
Done.